And so the class that we're in right now is vector design. And you'll notice as you go through your major, there's two different classes that sort of break off and specialize. One of them is called vector and one of them is called pixel design. Who here has already taken pixel design? You're taking it right now. Okay, cool. And so do y'all feel comfortable with what the differences are at this time, or can anyone kind of describe it? Okay. Okay. So a little bit of difficulty with the tools. So the reason that there are two different classes and two different programs is because the idea of a vector and the idea of a pixel are very different from one another. So they need two different programs to handle those differences. Pixel, if you zoom all the way into a photograph, you start to see it pixelate. So the namesake is there. And what that means is it starts to break down into these little squares that when you zoom out, you can't notice them. It all looks like one seamless image. There's photographs available in this realm of pixels. That's mostly what you're working with in Photoshop is photographs, but not always. A lot of y'all's first project is a lot like this first project. But if you zoom into that project, things will get pixelated. If you zoom into these projects that we're doing right now in Illustrator, it's gonna look like one line. It's never gonna pixelate. It's always gonna create new dots and new points. And so the benefit of that is that you can scale in infinitely and you can scale out infinitely. You can make it a little logo on a hat, or it can be a huge sign on the side of a truck, and you're not gonna lose quality or resolution. The downside with that is that you're not allowed to get a lot of variation. That's why with vectors, things feel really graphic. There's only a few colors involved. Whereas with pixels, you can have a lot of different colors. You can have videos. That's what you see when you're watching a sports game. It's all in pixels. I have a few slides to show you all the difference of these things. So this is created in Illustrator. This is all vector. And you can start to see what that difference is that like these are just solid shapes. There's not any gradation, value shift. The scene is created just with like little blocks of color. Here's another really good example. So raster is another word for pixel. And you can see that with this, we get the appearance of reality, right? It's a lot closer to realism. It looks like a photograph. There's a lot more highlights, shadows, all of that. Versus a vector, you can still get a gradient, but if you zoom in, all these are just points on a lot of different lines. What do y'all think this is? Pixel or vector? It's pixel. Yeah, and y'all might be able to see it better if they fulfill the work order to get the lights to turn off. But I could try to turn around my screen. So can all see. That's pixel. Yeah, what do y'all think this is? Vector, right. So you get a lot less options, like you have limitations on it, but those limitations can be worked with to create something like really cool looking, really aesthetically driven, because you're only limited to work with shapes. It can get really complex though. So what do y'all think this is? It's vector. This is an example of a vector that almost looks like pixel, right? Because there's so many different layers, there's so many different shapes to it that whenever you zoom out, it sort of can start to look like a photograph, right? But really, if I zoom way in, you can see all of these are just little shapes, little vector shapes. Okay, what do y'all think this is? It's vector, yeah. This one? Yeah. These are all vector, right? So these are all different stylistic options. And you can see that even though we have these limitations, all of these are so different stylistically. Like some of them are so simplified. Some of them try to look more like a picture. Some of them really focus on light and shadow and are dramatic like that. This is also a vector. So you can use gradient to sort of imagine that it's like a pixel. This is also vector. So adding texture.
He's living his best life, huh?
Right. Exactly. So I'm just giving y'all a lot more examples. Like when you play with color palette, that can really like push things into different realms visually. This is a vector. Another vector drawing. You can play around. Another good thing with working with shapes and not a photograph is you're not bound to like realistic shapes and proportions, right? So the bottom half of this body is way bigger than what we would expect. You can sort of push and pull that a little bit. You can make something look more cartoon based.
These are some of your students?
No, just internet stuff. Yeah. Do y'all think this is pixel or vexel? Pixel or vexel? It is pixel, yes. It is pixel. What about this? Yes, mixed with some vector potentially. These could be vector or pixel in the background. Okay, so that's just what I had to show y'all for that. I also want to show y'all how to export these. So I know some of you are wrapping things up and getting down to the wire here. But I also want to say, if you want to explore those not on a blown out screen, those are all available for you in your file section. And there's a folder called Difference Between Vector and Pixel. Okay, so there's that. Nextly, we're going to talk about how to export and upload. So you're working on these, and in just a moment, so after this, I'll sort of troubleshoot this, and that's optional for those of you that want to follow along. Just like working out any hitches that you had in the process of like, why isn't this working? Or like, how do I use this tool better? But first of all, I want y'all to just notice this tool over here. It's called the type tool. And if you click on the type tool, you're able to type your name. Yeah, exactly. And if you go to the assignments and you click on our first one, which is the Silhouette Project, you can see that your name, the course name, and the semester should appear at the bottom left of each page. This is kind of left over from a different semester. I would say just put your name, and I can correct that. So just put your name and move it to the bottom left. If you want to adjust anything about the type, you can do so in the Properties panel. Make it bigger, smaller. It's okay. And then whenever you're done, you're going to do File, Save As. You want to make sure, just for your own housekeeping, your own record keeping, you always want an Illustrator version of this file. Does anyone know why that is? It's in case you ever want to make any changes to it again. No, say if you wanted to go back next year, or say like you did it wrong and I'm like, okay, you get a D on this project, but you can fix it. You're gonna want that Illustrator file to go back and fix it, right? So you always want to save an Illustrator version of the file to your desktop or wherever you want. And then the way that you're going to turn it into me is you're going to do File, save as, and you're gonna change the format to a PDF. I'm sorry? Yeah. And then you're gonna click Save PDF. Okay, so this says to combine it all into one. I'm gonna show you all how to do that, but if you wanna just submit them, all three of them, that's fine too. But I'm gonna show you all how to combine it into one. So I did that one. I'm gonna do File, Save As. We'll just pretend I already saved this as my Illustrator file. So I'm gonna save it as a PDF. Desktop. Okay. So next you're gonna open up Adobe Acrobat. Okay, yeah. And so the reason I'm making this optional, it's easier for everyone. So it's easier for you and me. But if you don't have this at home, don't worry about it. But if you do it in the classroom, this is how you're gonna upload it. Okay, so right away when you open Adobe Acrobat, it's gonna ask you to combine files. Or not gonna ask you, the option's gonna be there to combine files. So if you click on that and you click on Add Files, you can go to your desktop or wherever you saved it. You can grab all your PDFs and add them. And then it's really just as simple as clicking Combine. Yeah, I forgot the can opener one, but y'all would just add all three of them. And once you have that one, you can just File, Save As, save it to your desktop, and do like Final Project 1, and that's what you would upload. Does anyone not know how to upload an assignment to Canvas itself? Okay, because that would be the final step, right? You would just go to Start Assignment, go to Choose File, and upload that PDF. If you're uploading multiple files, you would choose File, upload the PDF, add another file, and do that 3 times. Does anyone have any questions about vectors in general? Yeah, Josh. So if you didn't combine your PDF, you would just go to Choose File, find the PDF. I would add another file, do my other PDF.
But you want it the other way.
I do want it the other way. I just think it's more simple. But if you are doing it at home, that's fine. But yeah.
You're not gonna get knock points.
I'm not gonna knock points. So. All right.